Wow. That's all I can say. Amazing. Watching that video, man, they did a good job catching the high spots, but it was just neat to see the history of my life just, right there in front of you. These guys did a great job. Anyway, I'd like to tell everybody thank you, and it's great for everyone to join us tonight. Congratulations to Carl and the Moody family and Dr. Sicking. It's also an honor to share this night with you. And what I'm going to do real quick, first of all, I'm not a professional speaker. I'm probably the worst in this room tonight. And a little disclaimer, I didn't use AI to generate this speech, so we're going to do the best with it. But really quick, a neat little story quickly on Carl Edwards. I didn't know Carl. We didn't hardly race together. I was watching Carl. I was leaving the sport. Carl was coming in. And I was watching him win all his races along the way. He was doing a great job and, deserved to be at the top level, at the cup level. I didn't really know Carl. He didn't know me. And then because of both of us were elected to go into the Hall of Fame. About 2 weeks after the Charlotte announcement, I get a call from Carl. And he doesn't know me, I don't know him. And next thing you know, we just started talking, just shooting the bull, really. And it led us to aviation. And then he couldn't have been more congratulatory to me for him calling and making the effort to go, talk to me and wish me well. So that was the end of that. And then it wasn't very long after that. It was a couple of months later. I get a text from Carl, and it says, "Hey, dude, you're world famous." And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? What's Carl talking about? And I blow the picture up a little bit on my phone. I blow it up, and I look at it, and it was Carl, and the marker said 15,000-foot Kilimanjaro. He's on the other side of the world climbing, Mount Kilimanjaro, and he says, "The dude, you're world famous." His Sherpa, which is only about 5 foot tall, I'm sorry, he had a Ricky Rudd Texaco hat on. And this guy was on the other side of the world. I still think Carl had something to do with it. He swears he didn't give that guy the hat. But so anyway, it was just a neat experience seeing Carl send that thing to me. It's amazing seeing all these legends here tonight in the sport that are joining us here. I'd like to take you on a little journey with a kid from Chesapeake, Virginia. With the help of a lot of great people, a few Chesapeakans here. With the help of a lot of great people, I was able to chase my dreams, and with tonight's induction, that dream is now complete. 50 years ago, my brother, Al Jr., and his friend, Cliff Champion, were volunteer workers on Bill Champion's Cup car. Bill was thinking about retiring, and they knew that I was good at racing go-karts and dirt bikes. So they pushed Bill in some kind of way. They talked him in to let me drive his car. Next thing I knew, I was sitting in a Winston Cup car at Rockingham, North Carolina, about to start practice. And as I looked out the windshield, I saw Richard Petty, David Pearson, Cale Yarborough, Bobby and Donnie Allison, and Darrell Waltrip. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, what am I doing here? These are the best drivers in the world. I'm about to go out on the same track with them. I'm 18 years old. I've hardly ever seen a race car, let alone drive one. Unknowingly to them, these drivers would become my teachers. I was in a borrowed driving suit from Bill Champion, which was about at least 10 sizes too big. After the race, I realized it would probably be a good idea to learn what some of these flags meant. I got pretty familiar with one of them that day. It was that blue flag with that diagonal yellow stripe on it, meaning get the heck out of the way, leaders are coming. So I learned that one real well. I finished 11th, several laps down, but I accomplished my goals for the day, finished the race, gained some experience, and most of all, I didn't tear up Champ's car. The next race was Bristol. We finished 10th there. Our family decided to own our own cup team. My father had an old friend, Robert G. Dad bought a cup car from him, and off to the races we went. We worked on that car out of my dad's salvage yard in a small garage that could barely fit a couple of toolboxes in it. My brother built our engines in a closet in the back of the shop. If we needed parts, we went out into the salvage yard and just took them off a wrecked car. Our team won Rookie of the Year that year, 1977. Next year, the wear and tear started taking its toll on everyone. Running the schedule with only one car was difficult, and all our volunteer helpers were burned out. So we only ran a few races that season. The following year, 1979, I was invited to drive for Junie Dunleavy. We had a really good season, But Junie had to let me go at the end of the year because we couldn't raise the sponsorship money. There was very little racing the following year. As a last chance effort, Linda and I loaded up the car and took it to Charlotte. We rented an old apartment in Kannapolis, and that would be our home for the next 45 days. Linda got a job working at the Charlotte Motor Speedway ticket office to help pay the bills. We ran an open cup practice session a week prior to the October Charlotte race. While at that practice, Harry Hyde, a legend of the sport, asked if he could roll under my car and take a look. He knew there was more speed in that car. Harry offered to take the car over to his shop and get it ready for that upcoming race at Charlotte. It sounded great, but I told Harry I didn't have any money to pay him. He said, "Don't worry about that. I got it covered." I'll never forget that work. I'll never forget the work that Harry did on that car that week, because the car the car that Harry gave back to us, it was able to qualify on the outside pole, and we finished fourth in one of the biggest races of the year. That one race did more for my career than anything else. When we got back to our apartment, the phone was ringing off the hook with sponsorship offers, rides to come join established teams, including Harry Hyde's team himself. It was a bit overwhelming because all these offers, everybody needed an answer like right away. I chose to sign with Dalgard Racing in 1981. Little did I know that after making that decision, I would go on to compete in every NASCAR Cup race for the next 25 years. Those years really flew by. During that time, I visited Victory Lane 23 times. I won't bore y'all with the details of each victory, but I do want to mention a few that stand out to me. I'll always remember my first win at Riverside, California with Richard Childress. That was one of the happiest moments of my career. Winning Richmond, Virginia after a potentially career-ending crash at the Busch Clash in Daytona the week before, and the Brickyard 400 victory as an owner-driver, followed by the win at Martinsville when all of my driver cooling devices didn't work, and I had to do the Victory Lane interview lying on my back in front of the infield hospital. Winning the International Race of Champions title was a really big deal to me. During that 25-year span, I had the honor to drive for 10 Cup owners, including 5 NASCAR Hall of Fame members: Richard Childress, Bud Moore, Rick Hendricks, Robert Yates, and the Wood brothers, and a special thank you out to Kenny Bernstein. I learned life lessons from every one of those guys. I strongly feel those management skills I learned from them were directly related to the success of my own team. We're able to win in our first year of ownership. I owe this Hall of Fame induction not only to the 10 owners and teams that I drove for, but also to the many people that made my career possible. My mom and dad, brother and sisters, crew members that sacrificed family time to keep these cars running, and all of the race fans that supported me through the good and bad times. Also, thanks to NASCAR for creating a sport where anybody chasing a dream could compete. Racing in NASCAR allowed me to experience things that most people will never have a chance to do. I flew with the Blue Angels. I shook the hands of 2 presidents, refueled the Air Force Thunderbirds high above the Nevada desert, and played a small part in a Hollywood movie. But most of all, I want to thank my wife, Linda, and my son, Landon. Linda has not only been my wife and best friend for 45 years, she mentally drove every lap with me as she recorded the lap charts on pit road. This is truly the honor of a lifetime, and I want to thank you all for being able to join me with this tonight. With that, I'll tell you thank you and good night.